on, everybody? It's Buddy, it's Pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and this is your Dynamite review for June 29th, 2022, aka AEW Blood and Guts. Jesus Christ. Didn't know what to expect going into the show, not gonna lie. There's two extremes that they could have gone to, and they didn't really go to either, which is good. They could have had things still drag out from the pay-per-view on Sunday, which was really good, or Saturday, or whatever it was, that was really, really good, and that would have taken away the finality of the pay-per-view, or they could have hit like a hard reset. Hey, this is the season premiere, and everything's brand spanking new, and here's some random, brand new shit that doesn't make any sense. Now, they've sort of cut the happy medium with this in the sense that they did some new shit, they sent us off in some new directions, they sort of cut ties with the Survivor Series-ness of the Forbidden Door. Now, there's a couple of lingering things here and there, but they're happening on Rampage, so that's fine, we'll talk about that as we do. But we knew going into this, I've already recorded my preview for Money in the Bank, and I mentioned in that pod that you guys can catch on Friday that it feels like we're waiting to get Money in the Bank out of the way so we can get to Survivor Series. Now, it's kind of backwards here, where they were doing the pay-per-view, but then they still had to preview the Blood and Guts match, so they had to tie that into Forbidden Door, and that part was a bit messy. So you've got an elevated, what did I used to call it when they did it on NXT? They have an elevated episode of their weekly show and a pay-per-view within 4 days of each other. So I think, on the whole, as an overview of this show, I think they struck that balance amazingly well. Not gonna lie. Got to go through the simple aesthetics, stuff like that. Obviously, seeing the double ring because of Blood and Guts made the arena look a bit different. They kept the LED entranceway from the pay-per-view and from other pay-per-views that they've done before, where the rampway is an LED and they've got the LED or whatever you want to call those screens behind the entrance tunnels, and they don't have, it's not a chandelier, but that sort of chandelier center piece, that hanging centerpiece that used to hang above where Cody Rhodes would make his "I'm not a babyface, I'm not a heel" entrance, and it just doesn't have that, and it's very low, it's very ground level, and it's a lot more eye-catching, and they can do a lot more visual things with it. I really like that stage setup. Now, the other thing, going back to the two rings, whenever I see the two rings side by side, and no, I never watched NWA, I never watched WCW in its heyday, so if you mention War Games to me, I'm going to think of NXT. So I said this before, the last time they did it, and I say it again tonight. Blood and Guts makes me think of War Games. War Games reminds me of when NXT was good, and that's always going to make me just a little bit sad, because I haven't, it's going on 2 months now, I haven't watched a scrap of NXT 2.0. I'm hoping, if something good happens, that somebody will mention it to me, or somebody will bring it to my attention, because here's the thing. Even when I wasn't watching Dynamite, I would listen to the reviews on What Culture or something similar to that, and when I stopped watching NXT, I still sort of listen to the reviews because it's something for me to listen to at work, and a podcast is easy and it's digestible, and Michael Sidgwick's an idiot, but it's fine. I'm not even doing that anymore. So if anything worth talking about happens on NXT, somebody's going to have to tell me. But it does make me miss the old, good black and gold version of NXT, so that's a bit of a bummer, but it does give the arena a different look, it does give it a different setup. The last time they did Blood and Guts was that weird pre-taped, not really an audience thing, so this is the first time a full audience has seen the double ring, has seen Blood and Guts, etc., so that was cool. But we had a bunch of the rest of the show to get through before we did Blood and Guts. We started off with Orange Cassidy versus Ethan Page, and this is random as hell. Orange Cassidy's got new music, and here's where I'm going to go into news stuff for just a second. Apparently, the music that he came out to tonight, it's called Jane, apparently. I don't recognize it personally, but it's not bad. Apparently this was his music from the indies, which is fine. They did a very similar thing with Christian Cage. They were able to get the old music that he used from Impact, and that was a nice callback, and it's very cool. It's been talked about for a couple weeks now, but apparently Tony Khan is on a big rant all of a sudden that this leaked, that the surprise got out. Now, I understand that in a way, because if I miss a show, I don't want spoilers. If I'm not able to get to a movie the night that the movie comes out, I don't want many spoilers for the movie, because trailers do that enough as it is. But you're the guy putting the content out, and you are the guy that has the internet company. You know, the guy that the 4 EVPs or whatever basically brought all this together under the auspices of their YouTube show. You are the one who did the brilliant viral marketing thing of letting every single person in the planet know that CM Punk was coming without technically saying that CM Punk was coming. I'm sure you leak stuff intentionally all the time, so you can't have both sides of that argument. I'm sorry, you just can't. Oh, somebody found out that you were getting this cool music for Orange Cassidy and knew that it was newsworthy to some people, you know, the indie fans specifically, and they put it out there because they're doing wrestling news. For somebody that benefits so much from that, you can't turn around now and clutch your pearls and say that that's a bad thing. I'm sorry. You guys know I'm pretty much fully on the AEW train at this point. I'm even looking forward to the ROH show that's coming up. But there's still the odd thing like this from Tony Khan that's just stop trying to have your cake and eat it too, because you sound like a hypocrite when shit like this happens. The Best Friends are out. Okay, that's the end of that rant. Best Friends are out with Orange Cassidy, and they're wearing a lot of tie-dye, are they not? Makes me wonder what's going on with Roppongi Vice, but that's a conversation we can have for another day. Dan Lambert comes out with Ethan Page shooting on tiny guys and shooting on skinny jeans and shooting on the fact that the Best Friends are not valid managers. They don't have a license. This is not the election, so we're actually going to follow the rules. Love it. It's good. It's very, very, very good. It's gonna bug all the right people, and that just makes me smile. So they get kicked out, and then it's an Orange Cassidy. I want to say it's a typical Orange Cassidy match, but that is a good thing, is it not? The pocket stuff is awesome, and Power Game by Page is great. Orange Cassidy, while doing his silly pocket stuff, at the same time puts over, I was about to say Hangman Page, Ethan Page's Power Game a lot. He counters the Ego's Edge into a Rana face first into the turnbuckle, which is cool. There's a trip by Lambert on the outside, and then Page hits a power slam, Stundog Millionaire, Tornado DDT, and then he stops to steal Dan Lambert's orange juice. He hits the orange punch to Page, hits an orange mist to Lambert, hits a second orange punch, finally gets a slam in on the quote-unquote bigger guy, and gets a win for Orange Cassidy. So now, my fellow Canadian is not having a good day. I like Ethan Page. I think if they weren't part of the Jericho Appreciation Society, you take the former 2.0, I put them with Ethan Page, because they're so expressive and they're so comedically great in an almost Kevin Owens kind of way. And yes, I'm rallying all the Canadians together. If the Jericho Appreciation, when the Jericho Appreciation Society falls apart, which I think it will. I think you're going to get 2.0 that go off in a different direction. I think Garcia's eventually going to turn and join the Blackpool Combat Club, and you're going to get back down to Jericho, Hager, and Sammy along with Tay Conti, which is absolutely fine. But I think you get Scorpio Sky go on his own way. Dan Lambert's going to leave eventually. You put Ethan Page with the guys from 2.0, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange, and you could have a whole other act right there good to go, because, you know, there's trios titles. Oh, wait, no, there isn't a trios title, because we got the All-Atlantic Championship instead. Oh, yes. Speaking of Canadians, however, and for that matter, my American friends, this weekend is a big weekend for both of us. It's Canada Day on Friday, so I don't have to work, and it's the 4th of July on Monday, so my friends in America don't have to work. So all my friends, all my proud Canadian friends, all my proud American friends, hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to say that at least one more time, because I'm hoping to get one more pod out to you guys before the weekend. But hope you guys have a good long weekend. We've got the beginning of the weekend, you guys have the end of the weekend. Hope there's lots of fireworks. And again, I hope all the fireworks piss off all the right people. Oh yeah, speaking of pissing off all the right people, and speaking of great Canadians, look at that transition. Tony Schiavone is on the rampway interviewing Christian Cage, and he comes out because apparently he was supposed to have a match. Comes out in his street clothes, and he says, well, management wants me to apologize what I said last week about Jungle Boy and his family, and specifically about his dad being dead. He says, well, I am sorry. I'm sorry your whole family's not dead. I'm sorry that they were there in the arena to watch you fail 2 weeks ago. Except your mom. And then he does the hand motion for the telephone. So he's still definitely implying that he's going to shag Jungle Boy's mom, which is fine. And then he talks about how Detroit is, the only thing good about Detroit is that it's close to Canada, which is good. And he says, I bet you're wondering why I'm in my street clothes today when I said I was going to have a match. Well, I did ask for a match, but it wasn't for me. It was for this guy. And then new music hits, and lots of fire hits, and lots of dark imagery hits. And we get fucking evil Luchasaurus. I popped so ridiculously huge for this. This was Luchasaurus that looked like he came from the House of Black. This is Luchasaurus that looks like he's the 4th member of Death Triangle. This was awesome. The black gear, the black mask, the different music, all of it. It's all great. And the shit-eating grin on the face of Christian, who's living up to the old CLB nickname that Austin gave him years and years and years ago. His victim is in the ring. His victim is Serpentico, and he gets killed quite quickly and then chokeslammed on the floor on the outside. He beat him with a modified snare trap. It's a snare trap combined with a nerve hold, which looked like it fucking wrecked. The size difference in this was fantastic, and the way he ragdolled him with the chokeslam on the floor was fantastic. This is going to be a lot of fun, because Luchasaurus is the guy you want to get over. Luchasaurus is the one that I was saying I was worried about if you're going to split up this tag team. But if he's going to be managed by Christian, and he's going to be Christian's surrogate, for lack of a better term, in this feud with Jungle Boy, that's gonna be fucking awesome. Scorpio Sky and Wardlow are in the back talking face to face. No hostilities, no violence, while Tony Schiavone's trying to get his news out. Scorpio said, well, you know, I'm not exactly a security guard. I know you're used to beating up security guards. Rah. Next week, for the TNT Championship, it's going to be Scorpio Sky taking on Wardlow in a street fight. So it's going to be Wardlow versus the entire... I was about to say Blackpool Combat Club. Wrong group. It's the entire American Top Team. But after what happened in the opener, I have a feeling that if he starts getting double-teamed by both men of the year, the save is going to be made by Orange Cassidy, and then there's going to be a weird wink and a nod and an acknowledgement, but not really an acknowledgement, between Orange Cassidy and Wardlow, because that's a tag team we need to see. Up next, we got Max Caster and the Guns taking on Danhausen and some surprise partners. Who could Danhausen possibly team with? Now, I found this to be a little weird because he already kind of has a tag team partner in Hook, but that's fine. Max Caster, in the rap, mocks him for being a juggalo. And so he should. If you're ever wondering where I stand on this, fuck juggalos. Oh, yes. And he caps it off with how you gonna cheer a white boy doing whiteface, which is fantastic. Danhausen comes out and he says, I guess you guys have some sort of challenge for me. I'm not gonna try and do the Danhausen voice because that's terrible. I found some partners, I guess they're good wrestlers, and he sort of shrugs it off and he walks to the ring. And his partners are the AAA Ring of Honor and new IWGP Tag Team Champions, FTR. So it's FTR Hausen. And it's a good match, capped off somewhere in the middle by Dax doing Suplex City, which is not the last time we will see that tonight. Danhausen teases a GTS. Bowens hops into the ring with the crutch, showing that he's, in fact, not injured. He ends up smacking one of his own friends in the face, and FTR Hausen get the win. After the match, the Acclaimed and the Gun Club are about to come to blows, and Billy Gunn shoves his own kids out of the ring to defend the Acclaimed. And I really, 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 really bad want to make some Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan jokes, but I don't think I can do that just yet. It's fine. Jay Lethal has another video promo in the back saying he's tired of waiting for Samoa Joe. He's tired of waiting for a shot at the ROH TV Championship. Why don't you come here, grab a pen, sign your name on the dotted line for Death Before Dishonor, which is the week before SummerSlam, I believe. So we need to start building that up. I thought we were actually going to get some fast-tracked build for that card on this show. The only match that has even been mentioned so far is Jay Lethal versus Samoa Joe, which we knew they were building to at some point. And then when the announcements were made on social media that the next ROH show has been set, then you knew it was going to happen there, which is fine, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, Jade Cargill is still a thing. She buried somebody that I don't know named Lila Gray for reasons. My thought through this whole match, I didn't even write anything about the match because it was a squash. She is Ryback. It's fine. My thought on this is, look on the outside. You got Stokely Hathaway. You've got better Sasha Banks in Kiera Hogan. Why not cut out Jade and just have Stokely Hathaway managing Kiera Hogan and put the TBS title on her? We can't do that because we can't have nice things. Afterwards, they gave her a mic. I don't know why. She was attacked by Statlander and Athena because of course she was, because any one of those is a better option for the TBS Championship. And then the girl that she just squashed tries to defend her and Jade tells her to fuck off anyway. So, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? We get a promo from the Bucks in the back. The Bucks, the recent recipients of the AEW Tag Team Champions. They run the company, and they put the belts back around their own waist, made themselves the first two-time Tag Team Champions. And a funny thing about that, they talked about how Fish is injured, O'Reilly is injured, and now Cole is injured, which really sucks. During the preview for Forbidden Door, Guapo and I kind of ran down the list of people in both companies that are injured right now, and I think it's up to 13 now, which is really bad. We talked about some other news and tidbits as well, if you want to go back. I know it's a preview for a pay-per-view that's passed now, but we did talk about some news stuff as well. If you want to go give that a look, that'd be great. They mentioned that the Forbidden Door is not quite closed, and how Yoshihashi and Hiroto go to... I really probably pronounced that wrong. I am sorry. They want a shot at the Bucks and the Tag Team Championships, and they said you can fight us this Friday on Rampage, but it's not going to be for the titles. You got to beat us to get your shot at the titles later on down the line, which is a trope that WWE use all the time, and AEW fans slate WWE for, but they're not going to slate AEW because it's AEW. That's fine. And do you know what else is happening on Rampage? Which means it's actually happening right now. It's actually happening right now as I record this, because Rampage is happening right now. Let's be real. They're going to decide the first contender for Moxley's interim AEW championship. And what are they going to do? They're going to get 20 people on Rampage, and they're going to have the Royal Rampage. I mean, awesome, but also fuck off. It's everybody's fighting for a number one contendership. That's what an interim championship is. Kyle O'Reilly won a battle royal to get a shot at being the number one contender. He lost to Moxley, who then had a shot at being the number one contender, who fought Tanahashi for the chance to be the number one contender. He's holding a separate belt that says he is the number one contender to CM Punk's title, and we'll figure that out later on down the line. So, yeah, Hashi and Goto face the Bucks on Rampage. I don't really care. Statlander is being made to waste her time with Nyla Rose, which makes me sad, and they are doing fuck me, the Royal Rampage. God damn it. Then Jim Ross comes out, which makes me wonder why Jim Ross wasn't out there for the rest of the show. They did a lot of weird rotating of commentators at Forbidden Door. I hope that's not going to become a regular thing, because it is, by a very, very, very small margin, it is a distracting element when you get in, when you're actually listening to the commentary. Usually I'm listening to somebody's live stream, either What Culture, or if you want another option, go check out the live streams that Good Mic Work does, because Greg does a good job with that shit as well. But they got him out for Blood and Guts. Jericho Appreciation Society's outfits, man, they look like red Backstreet Boys, which is fine. But then their opponents come out, and there's a lot of red on their opponents as well, so it's just a lot of red. It's like, okay, eventually these guys are going to bleed, and it's not going to be as poppy as it would be, because we already see all of this red. They should have done a red cage, too, but that would look like Hell in the Cell. It's fine. I've got such sketchy notes for this, but we're going to go through some of the highlights. Sammy and Claudio start off like rockets. Sammy being faster, Claudio, I'm going to call him Cesaro accidentally, it's just going to happen. Doing the power game because he's insane when Garcia comes in, when Garcia comes in, Claudio's doing the big swing. He tries to hit him with Sammy. Now, I want to say something for a second. You guys know I went to the Greektown Wrestling Show in Toronto over the weekend as well. When I got back to Union Station trying to get my bus home, yes, I take the bus, don't worry about it, it's fine. There was a lot of drunk people. There were people throwing bottles at each other, and I saw a dude hit a dude with another dude for real. Because Toronto. Moving on. I love where I'm from. It's just kind of special sometimes. Hager and Claudio catch each other from across the double ring, and they try to do a game of one-upsmanship, tossing around all the smaller guys in the match. Moxley brings in a chair, and this is where the whole tone changes, because there's been a lot of power moves. People have been occasionally thrown into the cage, etc. But Moxley brings in the first real weapon, which changes the match. Not only does Moxley bring in a chair, but once he's dropped the chair, he also reveals that he's got a fork, and he carves up Garcia's forehead with the fork, which is fine, but he also gathers Claudio and Yuta together and gets some of the BCC tandem offense going on, which is really good. We see the patented deadlift gut-wrench suplex by Claudio out of the corner. Mox hits a pile driver on one of them on broken glass. I will say, one of the downsides of them all dressing similarly is when it cut out to the wide shot, you couldn't always tell who was who, because there are 3 small guys in identical outfits on that other team. I'm not making a small guys thing, but it is what it is. Santana comes in, and he enters with the barbed wire bat, a la Mick Foley, but also brings in a table, and that changes the thing yet again, because you can hit somebody with glass, you can hit somebody with a chair, you can hit somebody with a fork, but now you bring in a table, and it's not something you're hitting somebody with, it's part of the furniture, it becomes part of the ring, almost, and that's a different kind of thing. That's why the Dudleys were always different from, say, the Hardys, or the Edge and Christian. The Dudleys, the Hardys, the Edge and Christian. That's an old joke, it's fine. Moxley reaches into his pocket and pulls out a bunch of wooden skewers and puts them in Menard's forehead, and he responds to that by getting his hands on the barbed wire bat and trying to choke him / shred his face. Claudio hits the UFO into a slam on Hager. Now, I want him to do the UFO properly when it's a more fun match. Somebody suggested on a podcast earlier today that he should have grabbed 2 guys, done the UFO and the big swing. Now, coordination aside, that would be a hell of a thing. That would be a hell of a thing. I don't think it's possible. Kingston, Captain Animated Bobblehead himself, comes in with a kendo stick, zeroes in on Jericho, pulls out a big bottle of rubbing alcohol that I don't think ever got used, even though it fell out of the ring, and Tay Conti tried to push it back into the ring to give it to Jericho, and it didn't fit through the thing, so I think they just emptied it out. So I think whatever spot that was for had to be nixed. Mox and Yuta hit a Doomsday Device. Swagger eats a table. Swagger ate a table that was propped up between the 2 rings in that spot. Remember when we did War Games on NXT, back when NXT was good? They had that gap between the 2 rings, so they had that big steel plate. So of all the places in the ring you could have landed, that one steel plate in the middle was always the hardest. Well, he was in that spot, except they don't have the steel plate, but he fell awkward and sideways through a table where it looked like his neck got fucked. Mox and Yuta bring in multiple bags of tacks, and on the other side of the ring, some of the other guys start tearing up the ring itself, taking up after the Eric Young, Josh Alexander match at Slammiversary. Mox hits an X-Plex into the tacks. Tay Conti, for some reason, takes out Aubrey Edwards, opens up the cage, which leads us into the next part of the match, but she's taken out by Ruby Riott. Ruby Soho, even though Taz called her Ruby Riot on commentary, which just made me smile. I'm not picking on them. They're commentators. They're caught up in the moment. I get it. I like Taz. You guys know this. But when you hear the old names come out, it does make me smile just a little bit. And Ruby Riot versus Tay Conte is a match I would like to see. Let's just put that aside for another day. Now, her attacking Aubrey Edwards means that definitely when that match happens, it's going to happen to be that Aubrey Edwards is the referee, because that's how the world works. With the door open, Jericho climbs the cage. Kingston comes up to join him, and they brawl. Guevara tries to brawl with Kingston, and gets tossed off the cage. Now, immediately, people are comparing this to the Foley spot. Why was there set up tables? Why was there something for him to land on properly? This spot, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this in a couple levels here. First of all, this spot was not nearly as bad as the Jericho spot in the last Blood and Guts, because that was literally like falling on a collapsible balloon, like when people jump out of a building. This was a table spot done properly, and the reason it wasn't done like the Mick Foley spot back in 98, 24 years ago, talk to Mick Foley. Watch him try to walk around. I'm pretty sure they want Sammy Guevara to be active on their roster a little bit longer, but he did take it like a pile of shit. He did take it like a fucking ragdoll. Sammy Guevara went from being one of the most appreciated guys on the show to being one of the least appreciated guys on the show while he's gotten better. That's really shitty on the fans' behalf. More of both teams start to brawl on the outside. Claudio comes up and joins them, and Matt Menard joins them on the top as well. He hits the big swing on Jericho on top of the cage, which was a hell of a visual. Claudio makes Matt Menard tap out to the sharpshooter while Kingston has Jericho in some kind of a abdominal stretch. And you see Kingston almost immediately. He knows he's won, but he didn't get the win, so he's pissed. He's a pissed off winner, and that makes a very unique scenario, because now you're going to get Moxley and his guys versus the Blackpool Combat Club, and they were just a team tonight. That's fucking awesome. That's something to look forward to in the future. We got to build towards the Ring of Honor show as well. This was a fun match. Couple things in there that were unnecessary if I want to be really picky. We started a couple of new things. The Forbidden Door isn't quite closed just yet. We've got heel, dark, evil Luchasaurus, which is fucking awesome. We had the spectacle of Danhausen, of all people, teaming with FTR, which was a lot of fun. And yeah, next week we've got a street fight for the TNT Championship between Wardlow and Scorpio Sky, which is going to be a lot of fun. And on Friday / right now, we've got the Royal Rampage. Fuck me. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.